This is Neds AFL Unpopular Opinions with Alastair Lynch, Tom Rockliff and Dylan Leach.
Welcome to Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions. I will spare you the editorial at the top of the hour this week because I am going to go straight into it. Tom, Alastair, the draw, yes or no?
Yes, for me.
Yep.
How often does it happen? I think we played 9 rounds this year, so 81 games, 2 draws. Doesn't happen very often, 1 every 40, and I think that's probably a high rate. I'd imagine we only get 1 every sort of 12 months normally.
Yep. No,
Dylan, I'm a traditionalist, and I think the argument that the draw is not a result is wrong. It is a result. You get 2 points each.
Correct.
But I was watching the game on KO, flying back from Darwin, and the draws come up after the last few minutes was very exciting. Exciting last quarter. And I thought there from a commentary point of view, I thought, shit, how good would it be to have 3 minutes each way? Imagine as a commentator, full time, it's tie, 5-minute break, and you'd be pumping it up. If you're at home, you'd be going to the fridge, getting a refreshment, thinking, right, 3 each way. How this is going to be great. I've changed. I don't know.
You've changed.
I've changed from a footballer's point of view. I think the draw, stay with the draw. From a commentator's point of view, for the first time on the weekend, I just think, how good would this be? Wouldn't you be thrown to the break thing? We come back for the shootout. It'd be huge.
You've got the Kool-Aid, Lynchy.
I know
You have.
This is just what I felt.
No, I get it. But surely, if you're the Lions, that 2 points could be the difference between making the 8 or not.
No, so I'm saying from a commentator's point of view,
commentary.
It was. So I don't think as a player, I think the draws, the 2 points each, and maybe even a fan of one of the clubs, but as a commentator watching it, I was thinking, how good would this be if we've got 3 each way, like we do in the finals, like we do grand final day? That would be huge.
Can I give you a boundary rider's perspective?
Right.
Because you tend to roam the boundary a bit more these days. You get better interviews after a draw. You get more emotional players. You get better grabs. I recall your CEO, you're now CEO, Brendan Gale, when there was a draw between Richmond and Essendon. Dipper said to him, I'll have to dig up the clip. Dipper says, that was a fantastic game, Brendan. On behalf of all the fans, that was fantastic. Richmond Essendon had a draw. And Brendan goes, stuff the fans. I couldn't care less. He was pissed off.
Oh, really?
Not to mention Nick Maxwell with Richo after the 2010 draw. Oh, you get good material.
Yeah, but
good material.
But imagine the material you'd get after 3 each way. Then speak to the bloke that lost.
Win.
What do you think? I mean, I imagine you're very much a traditionalist.
A draw's a result.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm the same with Tom. It's rare. Like, yes, we've had a couple in a month, but it's a result, and it still makes an impact in a home and away season. We have them in soccer during the home and away season. Unless a game requires a result at the end to progress, like a final, a draw makes sense. And
I'm swung to sit on the fence on this now.
Now.
It doesn't bother me either way. Like, does it matter whether
Remember
it's a
what I
draw
told you
or
a couple of weeks ago? The reason, what was invented to prevent more draws in football?
The points.
The points.
Yeah. Look, I know it's rare as the proverbial, but it was just
anyway.
How exciting would it be? They got the draw. Let's go to a break. They come into a huddle for a couple of minutes. The coach gets 2 minutes with them, and then out in position. The crowd would be pumping.
Stay there.
Adelaide Oval would be absolutely on fire.
But we are the entertainment industry at the end of the day.
We are. So. And I was thinking from a commentary point of view, how you'd be hyping it up. Everyone's trying to analyse the game, and you go through the last couple of minutes, what could have Adelaide done better? What could the Lions done better? Whereas if we're going, here we go, and she's bounce it down, I'm
sure the commentators that were at Adelaide Oval really felt the tension after the siren there.
That's a
what? No,
well, Rue was up.
Rue was up. Yeah, he definitely would have felt it.
He's having to go at your comrades at Fox Football.
Oh, easy.
Am I?
Yeah.
I was talking about broad commentary. I was talking about the whole press centre there at Adelaide Oval. All right. Well,
So you're thinking just no way you wouldn't entertain. Just there's
not
a
during a home and away
season. Little bit in you thinking how exciting would it be?
In a final, it makes sense. But I'll tell you what, if I'm on the losing side of that extra time, I could have done with those 2 premiership points.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But how exciting would it be?
Speaking of, like, the two players that you'd nearly trust to kick goals both didn't. Like, Dawson pulled one around the corner.
Yeah.
Charlie Cameron, he passed it. He was running inside 50. He'd normally shoot for that every day of the week.
Did you see, though? So, I agree. Pin the ears back and score. But he could have handballed over the top of Joe Danaher. Joe Danaher was running into 30 metres of space.
Joe could have passed a couple of times as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah, he could have.
Absolutely.
I've got to
he
say,
could have.
if result being a draw or not, that was probably one of the best games of the year that we saw. Best
Oh, it
last
was.
quarters of the year, the Lions and Crows. Moving right along, let's do a proper hello. Hello, Lynchy, by the
Hello,
way.
Dylan.
Lovely to have you here this morning.
Great to have
Tuesday
you
morning
here
as
too. What
well.
do you think about draws? No, I was joking.
I'm
Yes.
pro-draw. I've established this. I just wanted to get
Let's
the draw
ask him
debate.
about Richmond.
Well, that's a whole separate breakout pod where we'll do an hour deep dive into what we need to do to improve from here. Hello, Tom Rockliff.
G'day, Dill. Disappointed in you again. We gave you an opportunity to come back into the
One
punting
chance.
segment last week.
Wasn't my fault.
Ryan was away, sick.
How many multis you got up this year?
0-2.
How many multis you got this?
We got one up, and
You got one
this
up,
was an
and how many did you
opportunity
get
to
up in
two.
the previous week?
Previous
How many legs?
week.
Yeah, you got zero
Well, I'm
from
not sure,
four.
but I
It
went
was
2
zero
from 2
four.
on the
So
weekend,
let's-
and you went 0.
Well, that's not my fault. That's the fault of the people that I backed for not performing. Yeah.
Give them some
It's
feedback.
of course, yeah. They're like Tom used to love it in his career when he didn't get 30 plus disposals and punters would message him to let him know.
Didn't happen too often.
Oh,
You've come out of your shell the last few
here
weeks.
we go.
You've really rolling nicely.
Yes, the foundations of Port Adelaide here. By the way, Tom, you must have been happy that legacy that you started at Port Adelaide with that win.
Yeah, that was incredible.
on Friday
game.
night.
But it's so typical.
Dialing the clock back to Friday night. Jeez, it feels
Typical
like ages
Port
ago.
Adelaide. They are so hard to watch. They're so frustrating because their best footy is so good.
Yeah.
So they blew the game away, and then they always give the opposition a chance, and you're just on the edge of your seat until the end. But it's a great win to go down there and do it. But you would have liked to see a win by 4 or 5 goals instead of 6 points. But that first quarter was unbelievable footy.
I think any win's a good win.
Yeah.
If you're winning down at Cardinia Park and you're not Geelong.
Kenny loves it too.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? Love it.
He's a. It looks like he's an emotional coach.
Yeah.
He certainly rides the ups and downs. And when that siren went, he was pretty pumped with the players.
I liked him also pumping up the crowd. It was reminiscent of, I don't know, do you remember when Gary Ayres gave the 2 fingers when he was coaching Adelaide, gave a little salute to some Geelong fans?
He was in the coach's box,
In the
wasn't
coach's
he?
box,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some old Cats fan sitting in front of it, he was giving it to him after. It was reminiscent of that. It was fantastic. Oh, well, a lot's happening in football. We're getting stuck into, that's actually Indigenous round, Indigenous fortnight. Doug Nichols runs
Doug
fantastic
Nichols.
jumpers, and I understand why it's a fortnight. Everyone wants a home game for that, but it's a pretty good design. So we're all looking forward to that. And Lynchy, you were in Darwin last week for the Suns North blockbuster. So what we might
That's
do,
a reasonably poor game.
what we might do on the show today is we might just get some insights because there's Andrew McLeod, Nathan Buckley, Andrew Demetrio are doing a bit of a feasibility study into having a team in Darwin. So obviously we've got your Devils, 19th team who've stolen Richmond's CEO. Well, I don't know if it's stolen. It was a fait accompli that Braden Gale was going to be the boss of the Tassie Devils. But I'd like to get what do you reckon would need to happen for a 20th team? So
I'll
get
kick
to
off
the bit
my
later.
unpopular opinion.
Okay, come on,
and say
Tom.
that there
Let's
can be an AFL team based in the Northern Territory in Darwin.
never. Just
No,
don't do it.
it's near impossible. The standard of footy up there, for them to be able to live there and train there, Lynchy was up there, it was about 36 degrees when the first ball was bounced. How could they possibly train during the day? Like, it's not feasible for me to have an AFL team up there, and the quality of footy just drops away because of the conditions. It's just so hard, and it's not their traditional footy season is over the summer months.
Yeah, the wet months,
And then I just don't think it's feasible to have an AFL team playing out of there or based up there.
Would be tough. It was unbelievably hot. I was speaking to a few past players after the game, and it was unusually hot. Like it was still. Well, actually, in the second half, the temperature was recorded at 29 degrees, but the breeze had dropped off. It was stifling. It was ridiculous.
And the bugs.
Oh, the bugs. You see the bugs post-game?
The bugs on the screen.
There's like a dinosaur landed on my chest at one stage.
It was Daryl Summers who once said in a Northern Territory ad, "You'll never, never know if you never, never go." You're saying never, never go.
Yeah, I love Northern Territory as a place. I was up there this time last year for Stevie Motlop's wedding. Great place, but you just can't play AFL footy there.
I've actually never been to the Northern Territory.
Do yourself a favour. Brilliant spot.
I know we were pro South Australian tourism the past couple of weeks. Now we're pro NT, but and of course Neds. Of course, being licensed in the Northern Territory, so it's a fantastic place, and quite frankly, they should have whatever they want.
You should. You got to get up there. It's spectacular.
I will. Darwin Cup soon, I think. That'd be. Can I get in on the junket of that, bosses?
Can I get on?
Yeah, can we get on the Darwin Cup junket? All three of us. Thank you very much. Do you have any other unpopular observations?
That's it for
Just
now.
don't give Darwin a team. Lynchy, what's your?
Well, I was going to be the draw. How I've changed my mind. Maybe.
Turned.
Yeah, I have. But maybe
You've changed, man. You used to be about the football.
Well, I am about the football.
You used to be about the football, and
but
now
football is about fun and we were talking before, entertainment and hope and how good would it be. So, but probably going on the theme of the North Melbourne.
Speaking
Suns
of
game.
hope, yep, go on, North Melbourne, yep.
Yeah, that's a long way from hope. They're struggling to state the bleeding obvious, but they need to break the cycle somehow. I mean, it's always hard, and Rocky, you had a tough, torrid time at the Lions for a while. It becomes when you're bringing in these young kids and you're getting belted every week, it's so important that your older players stand up and play some good football to support them. And at the moment, they're not. They haven't got a lot of senior players. They've got some injured on the sidelines. But it is what can they do? I mean, they've got a war chest in the salary cap to go and try to
I've heard
buy
about
a player.
this war chest for about 10 years.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to go and grab someone. Because if you're going to a Sydney Swans or Carlton or something like that, players aren't going to leave to work for 5 years to get back to the stage that their current clubs are. So you're going to have to pay overs for a B-grade player. He's probably the one that's going to go. What I'd be suggesting, we talked about this a couple of years ago, that when Clarko went, I thought Travis Bowe could be a great leader on the field. Now, he's played near 350 games. He's 36 years of age. I'd still near go to Travis. He's probably his last year at Port Adelaide, and you know him much better than I, but just from the outside, he looks like an incredible ambassador for the game. Everything we hear, he's one of the fittest footballers going around. I would just think, essentially, bring him over as a on-field assistant coach to set standards. Now, it's really hard for Clarko and his coaching staff off the field. Not enough experience on the field. I think an elite man like Travis would be ideal if he wants to keep going. It doesn't tarnish his legacy. It might enhance it, if anything, if he can go and help them mature and rebuild and, importantly, keep the kids there, because you don't want to have this current bunch leaking out.
Yeah. He's the most professional player I play with. Another guy that can't get a game at the moment at Sydney would probably come in, Luke Parker, for instance. He would be ideal, I think, for them, set the standards there. Yeah. But the key, they got Larky in the front half, but they don't really have bookends or key position players. They're a long, long way off.
Yeah. So Ben Mackay leaving, just that big body.
To talk about having a senior body and senior leadership at North Melbourne, to dial the clock back nearly 10 years, that decision to get rid of Petrie, Spud Frito, Harvey, all those blokes all at once, are North Melbourne still feeling the effect of that?
I reckon it's a fine line. It's a fine line of...
Is that the turning point?
Well, it's hard because they'd been to a few prelims and they're thinking, well, we need to rejuvenate this list and find a way to get there. So they think, we'll finish up those guys. It's hard. You don't want to finish them all at once, but I think you've got to make a tough call on some. I think Richmond are going to have to do that as well come season's end. But they also lost Jack and Trent last year. If they lose Dusty as well, then they've lost a lot of their mature age players as well. So it is a really fine balance of how many older guys do you get rid of, who do you bring in, but that they need to somehow keep Davies Uniacke. I'd look at trading Zerha. I don't think he provides his price tag. Watching him on the weekend, Mackie Andrew pulled his pants down and just did exactly what he wanted. He didn't provide anything. Maybe go through the midfield. He he needs to get after it and try and improve that list, I think.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult for those players, but they've got to protect these young guys. And think GWS with Luke Power and Chad Corns coming in, on-field assistant coaches.
Yep.
It might be a pathway. I don't know what Travis wants to do, but it might be a pathway into coaching for him. Gets him back to Victoria, his home state. So, yeah, I would think you'd be looking at that type of player. As you said, if you get Luke Parker, but is he going to leave the Sydney Swans, even if he is on the fringe? If he comes in for 4 games at the end of the year, he could play in a flag.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's hard. It's hard to break that cycle at the moment, but Travis might be one that they can get.
And it's hard as a fan. That's an understatement, but if you're sticking fat with North Melbourne at the moment, it is just depressing. Like, you've got to find those, to use the Brandon Bolton phrase, the green shoots every single week. So you go, Colby McKercher, who you're going to snap up in 5 years' time, got the Rising Star nomination, or Harry Sheasel had a good game, or
so there's
something like that.
There's your hope.
But
you just got to keep that hope building and develop those players.
You've seen your team win one game in 400 odd days.
Yeah.
The club, I mean, it's not as grim as some of the experiences you and some of your ex-teammates would have had at Fitzroy, but naturally the comparisons to
the Baby Bears would have been almost better, wouldn't they? Like, there was at least hope.
Yeah.
But, like, you were saying off air, like, when you were playing at Brisbane,
we had tough times.
You had tough times. You weren't as bad as that.
I think we were more competitive in the fact that we were still a chance to win and we had enough talent on the list. Yeah, we weren't great and we lost players and we had different stuff go on. But I think, like, from memory, I think the only wooden spoon I won was Chris Fagan's first year. And I think we won 3 or 4 games. I can't see North Melbourne winning a game this year.
Yeah,
they will. Tough. They'll surprise someone, but maybe.
Where are they playing? Richmond.
Well, and maybe they've got to go to a particular player or an athlete manager and get 2 or 3 players to come together, because it would be hard for one player to come and think, I'm going to have to rebuild by myself with these young kids. If you can get a package deal and get a few players to come and support this young group.
It'd also be nice if North Melbourne, who I think owe it to their Melbourne fans, to have actually try and win a game in Melbourne, because a lot of their games they've been winning have been in Tasmania and Perth.
Well, how are they going to go this week? They've got Port Adelaide. Was it Port Adelaide this week or not?
I think they've got the Bombers.
Essendon this week.
They've got the I'll get onto them in a second. I mean, if North Melbourne beat Essendon somehow randomly due to a congenial heart defect or something like that, Homer Simpson, Dredrick Tatum style, that would be a breaking of the seal with North Melbourne, because North Melbourne and Essendon historically don't like each other. The old marshmallow game, but the marshmallows at the moment are the Kangaroos. Mm-hmm. But we're saying kanga, boke, boke, boke. That is the proposal.
That type, I think you've got to get in there.
Tom, you can...
Oh, he'd be fantastic. Most professional.
No, you.
Player. Oh, me? No, not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance. No, why would they want me?
Did they ever approach you back in the day? When you...
North? No.
Okay.
Not North Melbourne.
No. Didn't go. Speaking of North Melbourne's opponent, Essendon. This is unpopular with supporters of the other 17 clubs. It pains me to say this. On September 4th this year, falls on a Wednesday. That will mark 20 years since Essendon won a final. 20 years. Unless some fluke AFL fixturing happens, they're getting to the 20-year anniversary. Right? That's happening. But the way the Bombers are playing at the moment, I can't bring myself to say this. I think they're in a position to win a final this year. I think the cycle might break. And
they're looking all right.
Are looking pretty damn good at the moment. Yeah. The Essendon edge is actually quite good football to watch.
I'm still not sold on them. Sitting for 98%.
That's the thing, isn't it?
They're just falling in. They were good against the Giants.
They're looking good, but they might be in a position to win. This is more a warning.
A warning
and a call to arms. If you find yourself playing Essendon in a final this year, there's going to be more pressure on you than there is on the Bombers to win it, because everyone right now wants this streak to get to a 21st birthday. Oh. We've had some good times. We've had some good. Come on, admit it, Lynchy. We've had some good times
Gee,
here.
they got a soft draw.
They've got they're the marshmallows with that draw.
Well, yeah,
But-
North Melbourne,
Yep.
Richmond, you're
Yeah,
up.
well, that's 2 wins there.
The Suns, you don't know how they'll be going.
Where's that?
Well, on the
up
coast.
here.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Then Carlton, tough, but then West Coast after that. Geelong, Collingwood, she starts to stiffen up.
Yeah,
a
so
bit then.
it stiffens up. So look, just let's just be mindful that they might be in a position like if to win a final. We can't be having that. So if you do find yourself playing Essendon in the first week of September this year, more pressure is going to be on the team playing Essendon because we're having a good time. We're all having a good laugh. We can't let them win another final. You know, because after all, you would know about Essendon. You would know about Essendon, Lynchy. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah.
You'd know all about that.
They haven't been that strong since those.
No, well,
comments,
when you made them, they've been bleeding ever since.
But you must. Are they very similar to Richmond?
Yes.
Of yesteryear?
Yes,
Like this-
absolutely.
this
The whole Essendon
dormant super club that was, a superpower of yesteryear that is just ready to launch back into talk about hope.
Yeah.
There's hope starting
back
to
into
build
the,
now.
and the second block of the fixtures coming out, the last little third of the fixture. The Bombers are going to be Friday night every week, just about. So they're going to be up and about. And of course, Essendon Carlton a couple of weeks. The King's Birthday Eve match that will probably get as big a crowd as what they would have got 25 years ago.
Yeah, that'll be 90,000. You would have thought.
Yeah.
So no, I think I reckon it's exciting. It's exciting for Brad Scott,
Don't
all
be
Essendon
diplomatic.
supporters. No, it's not been diplomatic. I reckon it's like Richmond, and it was humorous at times with Richmond just falling short.
I'm aware that people used to have a laugh at that.
Yeah, but just actually, once they got going, the crowds, I mean, the
momentum.
competition is good when you got these old school super clubs
And-
with their supporter bases
but
all vibrant and going.
I remember when they were
You've had your
good.
snout in the trough for a few years.
Yeah. And it's
Essendon's
been great.
Ruckman as well, Goldstein, just from North Melbourne, another senior player they let go.
Yeah, good example. And another one from this weekend, speaking of extra time and time and in general, we've had 4 thrilling games. 4 out of the 9 games were absolute thrillers. And this is one to pass on to the broadcasters and, my good friends and your employees at Fox Footy. It's time to bring back the 5-minute warning. Now, this could be very divisive. So there is pro.
Getting messages during the podcast.
Oh, no.
mate.
Yeah, that's a carton, isn't it?
That's actually from Billy Moore of all people there, if I'm flexing. It's time to bring back the 5-minute warning. How good, forget extra time, how good would the viewing experience had been had the 5-minute warning been there on Thursday, Friday, the Sunday games? Would have been amazing experience. The 5-minute warning was one of the best innovations football television ever had.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. I loved the 5-minute warning.
That was Channel 10.
That was Channel 10.
Yeah.
Quarters even tweeted on Friday night, time to bring back the 5-minute warning. And it's like, well, you know what? That Quarters is spot on.
Is it time to bring the clock, put the clock actually on the scoreboard, the countdown clock?
No, 5-minute warning. Just turn it off. You can
They all
have the
know
countdown
anyway.
clock.
They've
Well,
got
that's
all the signs.
how
It's
fast
10
it
Did
goes.
you know
It's
back in the
sign.
day? Did you know back in the day how long was left in games?
Nah, no idea.
Everyone does now. You're never going to be able to stop that.
Nah, I reckon put it on the app, put it on the scoreboard. There is some way. If we just bring back the 5-minute
But the teams are going to know, is what I'm saying. So they're going to hold up signs. So you're going to see
No
the
signs.
broadcast.
Ban the signs. Let's
Actually,
do it.
I don't mind that.
Ban the signs.
Ban the
The
signs.
signs should be banned.
Get rid of the signs.
Get rid of the stupid
if we go
signs.
all one way or the other, get rid of the
Yep.
signs. Because you get the 30-second sign, the 1-minute sign. Some of the crap they put up, you think, what
does that mean?
Who's come up with that?
Yeah.
But
incredible.
Yes, it is.
They're like, what did he say?
Ban the signs.
Neutered dogs or something. Ross
Oh,
Lawrence.
yeah, that's right.
You're telling me that the last 5 minutes of those West Coast Sydney grand finals weren't as epic? They had 5-minute warnings. They were amazing to watch.
And they didn't have signs.
They didn't have signs.
Yeah.
What are you
Didn't have
saying?
signs.
Brisbane and Collingwood wasn't as epic?
The 2002 one was epic.
No, I'm saying the 2023 wasn't as epic because it didn't have a.
Would have been better with a
countdown.
would have been better with a
Didn't have
5-minute warning.
countdown.
Better without the signs.
Better without the signs. Bring it back.
No signs or countdown clock. Go one way or the other.
You get rid of the signs and you bring back the 5-minute warning. So you can know how long's left in all the
You
other
want both?
quarters. Yeah, both.
Everyone's got a phone in their midst.
Well, the app won't have the countdown.
You think that clubs won't sit there with the countdown, like stop it in
That's
the box?
fine, but it won't get out as much as the 5-minute warning. It was a great innovation.
Oh, yeah.
This is unpopular opinions, not popular opinions.
No, you've nailed that.
There is a pro 5-minute warning lobby out there.
There is not.
It's me, Stephen Quartermain.
Yes, the two of you.
Yep. David Barham. That was his baby.
Oh, was it his? Was it?
Yeah, Essendon President David Barham. Yeah, because he used to run Channel 10 football back in the day. Yeah, 5-minute warning. It would have made it more. You forget the extra
Wouldn't
time.
have made it more.
Yes, it would have.
My God.
The Channel 10 calls back in the day used to go
simple.
off, Lynchy.
It's simple. You don't have to look at the clock. You don't have to look at it when you're watching the game.
Tom, can you not get in the way of his opinion?
You just put a bit of tape over the
I'm going to put tape on the screen.
Yeah.
Just get a bit of gaffer tape.
If it affects you that much, you won't know how long to go. And then you can sit there on the edge of your seat going, whoa.
Well, that's a simple solution. All right, 5-minute warning, family. Let's all go to Bunnings, get a bit of gaffer tape, put it on the screen, and away we go.
Yeah, beautiful. Sorted.
Yeah.
Done. All right, next one.
You know, we don't have a countdown clock on this show. We're meant to try to do 40-minute shows. We never do that, do we?
It's already been 45.
No, well, it's 40 minutes plus time on. That's how we go. Moving right along. Speaking of things where I've failed,
yes.
I haven't failed with the 5-minute warning. There's heaps of people listening who bloody want the 5-minute warning back. Get back. Look, I've got a feedback from a Mr. S. Quartermain of South Yarra. Bring it back. Mr. A. Marr, also of South Bank. Bring it back. It's all ex-Channel 10. Hutto, he'd love the 5-minute warning back in the day. He's ex-Channel 10. Channel 10, you know, they were good back in the day. They're struggling now, but geez, that 5-minute warning, 6 p.m. Simpsons, was a great channel back once upon a time. Still is. Seriously 10. Moving right along. The Snapshot. Ryan's about to jump in. Well, he's going to dial in. Couldn't be bothered coming into the studio this morning. He's an important man, but we're going to go over the numbers.
We'll go 4 from 4 this week.
You go 4
without
from 4
you,
after my disgusting multi. So here they are, Rocky and Ryan with
All the
Snapshot.
betting trends you need to know from the world of footy. This is the Snapshot.
Tommy, it's that time of week where we got to talk some betting. It's been pretty tricky for you boys last week. The multi didn't get up. I was watching very closely, but not to be, unfortunately. Before we get into some footy, though, any horses of yours running around this weekend?
No, we don't. We had a couple go around last week, which would rather forget. We'll give them forget runs last week, Ryan. But I was on fire last week. I just didn't have my partner in crime. I went 2 from 2 in the multi, and Dylan went 0 from 2 when you were absent. So I missed you last week.
Look, Dylan's always consistent, isn't he? He's always struggled to pick his nose, as we'd say. Let's get into some footy. We've got a couple of teams I'm pretty keen to talk about this week. Starting with the GWS Giants, 3 losses from their last 5 games. Pretty poor on the weekend against the Bombers, particularly in that second half. Failed to respond to the Bombers' ball movement and just didn't really adjust mid-game at all. Been some question marks over their depth over the last couple of weeks as well. But somehow, still $6 in the premiership market, second elect to the Sydney Swans. This week, they've got the Dogs at the Showground. The other side I want to talk about is Fremantle, a bit of a favourite team of ours over the last 10 weeks or so. We've been hot and cold on them. Another low-scoring hit-out and a pretty emotional game for them against the Swans last week at home, just the 39 points. And look, the Dockers did do plenty right, I thought, but just didn't capitalise on their chances. So simple question here for you, mate. Which of these 2 teams should we forgive, and or did we get it wrong?
I think the Giants, they just need to play consistent 4 quarters. They've got their best footy's good enough, and they were scintillating against the Brisbane Lions only a few weeks ago. So I think their best is still good enough. What they're having is fade-outs in games where they're just not scoring and not capitalising and letting opposition teams do what they want to them. So I think the Giants will still be thereabouts. This is a danger game, though, for them. I think the Western Bulldogs, the way they played last week, huge challenge for them, and we know that the tussles that those 2 teams have had over the years. So they're really short, the Giants, in betting market. So I think the money there would be on the Dogs just for an upset, just for the value of that. But I think the Giants are going to be there. I think they're still a top 4 team. Fremantle, well, the pre-season, I thought they were going to drop right away. So they've probably surprised me a little bit throughout the season. Friday night has to be a forgive for what they would have been going through internally and the 24 hours they had they kicked straight in that game, they would have been right in it against a premiership favourite. I think Sydney are the clear number one top seed in the competition at the moment. So had they taken their opportunities, they could have been a lot closer. You said it was a low scoring, but I think at one point Sydney were 11-1 and Fremantle were 1-11. So the biggest factor and pressure in footy is always scoreboard pressure. It's so underrated, doesn't get spoken about enough, but you've got to kick well in front of goals, and Fremantle weren't able to do that. So, yeah, I'm not convinced. I don't think Fremantle will play finals, but I think the Giants top four and Fremantle will just miss out.
You took the words right out of my mouth, mate. I was about to ask you if you were willing to, maybe you'd come around on Freo to lock them into a top 8 spot, but it sounds like you haven't. Another team that's sort of on the fringe of the finals is the Gold Coast Suns, playing their second game up in Darwin on Thursday night. They're home away from home. I think they're going for something like their 6th straight win at TO Stadium. They've got the Cats on a quick turnaround. Fancy a team named the Suns, relishing the hot conditions up there in Darwin. But we saw the Suns enter a real purple patch this time last year, where they rattled off some wins up in Darwin and then fell away in the second half of the season. Cats have some big outs: Jezza Cameron, Tommy Hawkins, Patrick Dangerfield. But we're still getting $2.15 about the Gold Coast Suns. Are you willing to steer the punters into that one?
No, I don't think so. They took on North Melbourne on the weekend, and they were lucky they played North Melbourne for a large chunk of that until sort of the second half, late in that third quarter, where they got momentum. If they play the way they played on the weekend, just continually bomb it in, and their key forwards play from behind, the Gold Coast Suns, Geelong will have an absolute field day and just play their brand of footy, which is the rebound, intercept, mark, transition off that. So if the Gold Coast continue to play the way they did on the weekend, which they've done most of the season, bomb it to their key forwards and hope to out-wrestle and manoeuvre, Geelong defenders will have an absolute field day on Thursday night. So they need to come up with a different method, start to lower their eyes, work on their offensive side of the game. If they get that right, start to lower their eyes, use the hit-ups, they're a chance to win that game of footy. But if they play the way they have most of the season, I think Geelong will get hold of them.
Does feel like we're yet to see the Suns play a full 4 quarters. I do think the glass is half full there on the Gold Coast, but I agree with you. The Cats set up so well behind the ball. This is going to be a really big challenge for them. The other game we do have to talk about is the top 8 blockbuster. Friday night at the SCG, Swans taking on the Blues. Rematch of last year's elimination final. That was an absolute thriller that I think we can both say the Swans probably felt like they should have won. They just didn't kick straight on the night. The Blues led from start to finish and were dominant, winning the contested possessions by a pretty clear margin in that game. Big win for Carlton last week as well. But this, to me, feels like the Swans' game to lose. Both sides are averaging around 14 goals a game, but the Swans have been one of the toughest teams to score against this year. Carlton currently ranks 5th in goals allowed to opponents on the other end. So how do you feel about this one playing out?
Yeah, match of the round, clear match of the round for me as well. Can't wait for Friday night. I think it sets up beautifully. I lean towards Sydney. I'm still not sold on Carlton. I think they're a little bit inconsistent as well, a bit like the Giants. We've seen what they did early against Melbourne, then they let them back into the game and they hold on right at the death by a point. I think Sydney are the best team in the competition. They've still got players to come back into that team as well. McCartan, Luke Parker, Mills as well. They're by far the number 1 seed for me. The way they play, the brand of footy. Isaac Heaney's in career best form. Goulden. They've just got the whole area, all areas of the ground covered at the moment. The Sydney Swans. The midfielders run, attack. They defend really strongly. The contested footy's good. So I'm probably leaning just towards Sydney, but I think it's going to be the match round. I think it'll be an absolute cracking contest up there on Friday night.
Blues haven't won at the SCG since 2019, so that's another stat that the punters should take note of.
Ryan and Rocky are cooking up another multi. Surely it gets up this week.
All right, we've got to get into the multi now. Very unlucky last week on a couple of legs. I'm not sure who had what here, but I'll just read through what you and Dill came up with. Swans head-to-head against Freo, that's a big tick. Either team 15.5 points or less in the Bombers and Giants game. Bit stiff there. I think the Bombers got up by 20. The Bont 25 plus disposals, your old favourite. And then Dill went pretty wide on a Richmond goal kicker that just didn't look likely at all. But, full credit to him for taking it on. So 2 out of 4 legs. We're still chasing our second win. And this week, you're sick and fat with the player markets. Who have you got?
Yeah, I'm going player market. So we're waiting till Saturday night, I think it is. The Brisbane Lions take on Richmond. I think Lachie Neale 30 plus is really good value. I think he's been in good form, and he'll feast on an undermanned Richmond at the moment. And then another Brownlow medalist and another former teammate of mine or former club, Ollie Wines, against Hawthorn 25 plus. I think he was back to his absolute best last week, and I think he'll have 25.
Feels like the Brisbane midfield's back to its best. I am going to Swans 1-39, putting my money where my mouth is. $2.15 for them against the Blues on Friday night. And I've also gone Collingwood 1-39 against the Crows. I think the last couple of encounters between these two sides have been decided by no more than a couple of points last year. So I think this one could be very close. So to recap, we've got Ollie Wines, 25 plus disposals, Lachie Neale, 30 plus, Sydney 1-39, and the Pies 1-39. Look, we're going pretty big this week, Rocky. $14 for that multi.
Oh, can't wait. That's I think we're a big chance, Ryan, to get that over the line.
This is some of our best picking, I think. That multi is available in the special section on the Neds app. Good betting chat as always, Rocky. We'll do it all again next week.
See you next week, mate.
You're listening to Neds AFL Unpopular Opinions.
AFL Unpopular Opinions is the show. Dylan Leach is my name. I'm also with Alastair Lynch. I've also got Tom Rockliff. We hope you're enjoying the program. That was a great snapshot.
Oh, I think we're a big chance to get that multi up this week.
You will get it up, knowing how this goes up. At least Lynchy was the one who struggled more than I did recently last year. But
we only go on recent form.
Yeah.
Lynchy's not allowed to punt anymore, and you're 0 from 2 this year. So
I had back-to-backs last year.
Yeah, good on you, Lynchy. Can't anymore though.
No,
you stay out of that stuff.
I do, absolutely.
You just don't touch football.
No.
Anyway, moving right along. Now, the 20th team. I want to bring up this subject as a separate segment. Now, obviously, your Tassie Devils are joining the competition in 2028.
Well, we've got a provisional licence.
Provisional licence.
Yeah, so we're not over the line yet.
You're over the line.
Yeah.
Playing. It's happening.
Significant the last couple of weeks with the Labor opposition voting in favour of the stadium or supporting the stadium.
The stadium's all systems go.
It's progressing nicely.
14th of May, Tuesday the 14th of May, 7:49 record time. Budget tonight. Is there a bit of money put aside?
Should we check with Jim Chalmers?
No, it's already been
ticked off.
Yeah, so the federal Labor government, I think it was $360 million contribution to the stadium.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, so that was the part of the confusion was federal Labor was supporting it, state Labor were saying no, but now they're on the same page. So that's very good.
We should have sent Tom to the budget lock-up in Canberra today. We could have got some details as to what's in it for middle-aged punters who like football. You know, the real dynamic there. You'd have grilled Jim Chalmers about what's in there.
I'm a country boy. I can't quite talk the lingo of Parliament House. That's why they send blokes like Lynchy.
Right.
Country boy.
Lynchy and Blackie get the invites.
Or as they say in Parliament House, you're a country member.
Yes.
Yes. We remember. Now, this week, last week I should say, so obviously we've got Tassie coming in. Therefore, there's going to be 19 teams. Therefore, bye will be returning each and every week from the 2028 season. So it'll be the bye will be back in focus and probably for a few seasons. So therefore, the AFL would probably want to even out the competition. Now it's either one extra one comes in,
it's going to be
or
a tough scheduling, isn't it? Because you got 19 teams. If everyone has a bye every week, there's only 24 rounds or something. So you're going to have to somehow put a mid-season break in there as well.
There'll be something. They'll come up with some weird concept that they do. I don't envy the people that write the AFL fixture.
You'll be flat missing gather round.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, because one team misses Magic Round every year.
So what could you do there? Could you do?
You get round zero.
A Thursday night game, and the gather round finishes on Monday night, but someone plays twice.
Back up.
So make it.
They won't do that.
Adelaide or Port Adelaide, so they've got the advantage of home games. So they play twice, so they have a 5-day turnaround, or make it 5 days.
Yeah.
And so everyone plays.
Well, it's obviously they've got Magic Round happening this week up here in Brisbane in the NRL. And since the Dolphins came in, one team gets punted from it. So last year, Newcastle Knights were denied.
And how do they work that out?
I don't know. I think it's just St George Illawarra won't be playing in it this year.
Gee, the Wooden Spooners from the year before
just miss out.
I don't know what the logic is, but yes, St George I think won't be taking part in Magic Round. And by the way, geniuses at the AFL putting a Brisbane Lions game on at the same time as Magic Round. Check the schedule, guys. Anyway, moving right along. So if we're going to have a 20th team, you were in Darwin last week, and there was stories about a feasibility study. Andrew Demetrio, Nathan Buckley, Andrew McLeod are sort of got a little committee together to say, well, how could we make a team in Darwin work? Tom, early on in the show, poo-pooed it, said, no, not going to happen. It's a stupid idea. Never in my life. And these will be famous last words when the Darwin Crocodiles run out for the very first time in season 2032. So
and Rocky's hosting Triple M Rocks footy.
Yeah. Triple M Darwin.
Yeah. When Rocky's doing breakfast, Rocky will be based in Darwin doing the pigs breakfast show. Oh, actually, you do.
Neds will be based there
actually, well, we are based there. Our license is there. Actually, you do have a breakfast radio nickname, the Pig. That's perfect. Lynchy, Dylan, and the Pig. That's what we should call this show. Could Darwin have a team? Lynchy.
Well, I think that's what the task force been challenged to come up with a. Well, you got to have this compelling business case. And the clubs won't vote in a team that can't be financially sustainable and actually thrive. But so that's the challenge. There's enough multinationals up there to support it, I think. But it's just it's going to be a big challenge. But I'll be fascinated to read the task force report about how it can be financially sustainable, which it has to be.
One thing that sticks out, and the obvious elephant in the room about Darwin, is the weather. So when the World Cup was in Qatar, they played at air-conditioned stadiums. Would you need to build obviously you couldn't just have the games be played at, what's it called, TIO, Marara, whatever that ground's called? You wouldn't have the team based there for 11 games a year. Would you need to redevelop a stadium not only with a roof but with air conditioning?
Redevelop? You'd have to build a new one.
Yeah.
You'd have to build a new one. And you'd play Alice Springs at times as well.
So let's say you play 8 games in Darwin, 3 in Alice Springs, but you would have to build something like that. You couldn't.
It'd have to be air conditioning or something.
Have to.
But the thing as well, like they don't draw the crowds. Like a Tasmanian team will draw crowds, I think. I don't think the NT will draw the crowds. There's so much to do out there. Northern Territory is about being outside and exploring and doing stuff. So I don't think they'd ever draw big enough crowds.
And also, the thing about the Northern Territory, and I've tried to look this up, and it's one of my actual pet subjects, defunct NBL teams, right?
Yeah.
The NBL's had more defunct teams than the NBA's actually had teams in its history. And the NBL has had teams everywhere. Even Devonport had an NBL team for 2 seasons in the 80s.
Did they?
Yes.
Yeah,
they were that good that you didn't know. Then there was Launceston Casino City, who
they were title holders.
They were. Darwin's never even had an NBL team.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had an NBL team attempt, there wasn't even an NSL team back in the day. I have not seen a national Darwin team because the seasons are different.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, basketball being indoors might be a different caper, and you could do one for something like the NBL. And the way Larry Kesselman runs that league now, I wouldn't be surprised if they considered one. But the fact that leagues like that haven't even attempted teams in Darwin, or not even a Big Bash franchise or anything like that.
The other fact as well is I just don't think that we'd have the talent to have 20 teams. I don't think we have the talent to have 19 teams. I just brought that up a couple of weeks ago. I think we're going to really struggle. We spoke about North Melbourne at the top of the show, and other teams as well. Hawthorn a little bit, they're a bit better now. West Coast have improved, but the talent's not there across the board, I don't think, to have viable 20 teams in the competition.
An unpopular thought in the spirit of this program, and it was brought up on another show. I can't remember the one at the top of my head. If we did have a 20-team AFL, to make it actually interesting and competitive, would we need to bite the bullet and have a 2-division competition? Now, that would mean that things like showdowns, now you've got to factor in if the draw and the schedule wasn't as commercially compromised as it is, because there's a requirement, every team, you've got to have these showdowns, you've got to have your Collingwood Carlton every year, you've got to have Anzac Day, you've got to have all this. to make it work, would you need to bite the bullet and say, no, we're having a 2-division league?
I don't think AFLW do the divisions, don't they? They've got
No,
two
they tried
conferences.
it. They tried it and it was a flop. They should do it in AFLW.
It doesn't,
given the way the
doesn't
form
work,
is.
I don't think. I think you've still got to have the national competition, and if you're going to expand, what's the point of going to conferences? It doesn't make sense to me.
No, I can't see that happening.
No.
I can't see. But
in terms
I
of
can
fairness and like where it is and the equality between a team that's first on the ladder and 19th on the ladder.
But let's get it on the table. The AFL is never going to be
No, it's never going to happen.
Equal competition anyway.
It hasn't been for years.
Like it's
and it will
always
be
compromised.
with Tassie hopefully coming in.
You're in.
Yeah, we should be.
You're in.
There will be a 20th team. So if you don't think the Northern Territory can host the 20th licence, who does?
That's a really... Could you do a hybrid team? Like... Could you have a sort of North Queensland Darwin team?
No, I think you've got to go all in.
Just floating out all the ideas.
same problem with North Queensland as Darwin. The conditions, the crowds, they're just not going to ever be sustainable. So you've got to go to a footy state. You've got to go to a heartland, I reckon. I don't think Canberra. I think you'd have to go Adelaide or Perth.
So a third team in Adelaide or Perth.
I think so.
Or could there be another region in WA? Could you have like a bit... Like a Peel region kind of thing or...
Well, you could probably do that.
Yeah, but they'd have to play at Optus Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely, at Optus Stadium. You've got the infrastructure there.
Yeah.
And it's not... You're not going to get the new eyeballs to watch the game like GWS or Gold Coast.
No.
It's just sort of... Yeah,
and I know
AFL.
Norwood's like, we'll join the AFL. I couldn't see Norwood.
Could Adelaide sustain 3 teams?
It depends if they brought in a club that already has a base,
So like a
Norwood.
Yeah.
I think they would because I think they'd have enough members and fans of Norwood behind them to start. I think if you start a fresh team, it's going to be hard because you're not going to convert Crows fans or Port fans. So if you went to a new establishment, it'd be near impossible, I think, in Adelaide.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, a history, something with a rich history that has got a bit of a leg up to start with.
Well, obviously we've got that with Port Adelaide, but to use an example again from rugby league, I guess we've seen that with the Dolphins as well, with the Redcliffe history moving into up here in Brisbane with the Broncos who are very established, and there's obviously the Titans and the Cowboys, but the Dolphins have come in with their history and their established fan base. So there is that. What if? All right, put this out there.
Richmond relocated.
Yes.
No, it's not
Richmond
a relocation.
folded.
No, it's not a this affects your club. Your clubs.
Yeah.
Okay. Put it out there. It hasn't worked. It's been unsuccessful. They're not getting along. But what if the Bears and Fitzroy just split again? The Brisbane Bears go back to being the Bears and we just bring back Fitzroy. Bring them back. How would you feel to say Fitzroy again in the AFL? Let's admit it. Fitzroy got screwed over by the AFL back in the day. They picked the wrong time to be broke. If this was any other era, they'd be bailed out and still be, supported. And by the way, congratulations, Fitzroy had their first win in VAFA A grade on the weekend over Old Melburnians, and Brunswick Street Oval was pumping. Maybe it's time for Fitzroy to come back. Yeah, they're bringing back the North Sydney Bears in rugby league. Why can't Fitzroy come back?
Well, you'd think so. With the saturation of teams in Melbourne,
let's have
another one in.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great to see Fitzroy back into the AFL, but I don't think that's going to happen somehow.
Sure?
Yeah, just too many teams.
I mean, it's a thriving junior club with a big base.
But if you were starting a new national competition...
They've already got all the...
You'd lose 3 or 4 teams out of Melbourne.
No, just add more.
And get to your 16
Get back to 16.
Or something like that.
All right, who leaves?
No, if you were starting with blank canvas.
If we're going with 6... If we want to go to 16, subtract 2.
Well,
put your name to it.
3 because you
all right,
bring in
subtract
Tassie
3.
in.
All right.
Well, the easy choice...
Look down the bottom of the barrel of the camera and I'll make this a clip. Who's going?
Well, the easy choice at the moment, if you sit here right now, is clearly going to be North Melbourne's one of them.
All right, making a profit, but all right. Off you go. See you, North. It's been a good 125-odd years.
I'm saying they don't need to expand. Like, there's not... And it's near impossible. They've got an impossible task.
Who else?
Well, I don't know. Who's not making money? There's a lot that wouldn't be making money.
St Kilda?
You'd probably get rid of the Giants.
The Giants! Off you go.
Well, combine them in other teams.
It's been a good decade, but
you'd probably get rid of the Suns as well.
So North, Giants and the Suns out.
Well, they'd be getting topped up massively,
Rockliff
wouldn't
calls
they?
for them to go.
No, I'm not calling for them to go.
There's a headline there.
Don't twist this. Because then they're probably the three. Like North are just uncompetitive, and then the other two are just being topped up continuously by the AFL. So if you want to go to 16, that's how you do it. But they're never going to do that.
They're never doing that. They've invested that much money in GWS and the Gold Coast. They're all in. They're not going anywhere at all.
And they will bring a 20th in. But again, we're going to have to put up with ordinary footy. There's going to be one-sided games for the next 15, 20 years.
Could I go radical across the ditch?
No.
I don't think so. No, and
we're
we're talking about not even a
Western
startup. We're talking about if we're going to go, you got to capture a rich
No, I was
footy
talking
history.
about two Tasmanian teams, one in Hobart and one in Launceston.
No.
Let's have a real rivalry.
Oh, yes.
What do you reckon?
No, we'll just go with the one.
No!
We're trying to get one.
Team Cascade and Team Bogues.
Well, that's a fair point. That competition goes on every week.
I thought you were going to say New Zealand.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant.
Yeah.
New
No,
Zealand.
I'll let you to that. But I was feeling...
You wouldn't get two in Tassie, I don't think.
Nah, you're not going to get two in.
But I think it has to
be
be. It has to be an established club. So you look at the options. Got to be a Perth, WA established club, or a Adelaide, South Australian established club.
Okay.
If they went again, would Gold Coast be Southport?
They're doing well in the VFL, Southport.
Again, they have so much money, Southport.
Yeah.
They could have done that. Yeah.
Maybe Southport will just put a bid in themselves. We'll have two teams on the Gold Coast.
I don't think that'll
It'll be
work.
fun.
Nah.
Get some AFL,
That horse is bolted.
get some AFL games out at Four Kaiser Reserve. That'd be fun.
I just want to go on the record and say that North, the Giants, and Gold Coast should be in the comp.
Get them out. Rockliff wants them out.
You saying that?
No, I'm saying Brisbane, Fitzroy, it's been great. You've had a good 30 years. Now it's time to go back to how it was. Bring back Fitzroy, Lynchy.
It'd be great.
Imagine the scenes of their first time.
All the way they're going through the levels in the VAFA.
Well, yeah.
They'll be back soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
They could progress.
Yeah.
Hey, great. Maybe
flag
get another,
this year.
just out the old Zabs could join the AFL. Knowing Andrew Dillon and the old amateur boys there, they could.
Or Uni Blues.
Yeah. Oh, bring back University. Did you play against University in your day, Lynchy? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Oh no, you're in the
finished.
reserves. You're in the under-19s at the time. Yeah. All right. Time to wrap up here on Neds AFL Unpopular Opinions. Time to wrap up here on Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions. So Rocky has declared that he wants those clubs out. He said off air, you were ruthless. I wish you would just speak up more on air, Rocky.
I know.
Like, you would make Ross Oakley cry with the amount of clubs that you want to get rid of. They're going to be up yours Rockliff stickers soon. Actually, no, there's probably a few left over from the Tasmanian election that they could probably double up there from the stick your stadium up your bum crowd
through.
there. Yeah, well, yeah. Uncle Jeremy.
Uncle Jezza.
Uncle Jez. Well, he was at the footy the other day. He didn't get in the Hawthorn song, by the way, like the Prime Minister did. What's going on there?
What a fool. Yeah,
I will stress that, yes, that was like Elbow looked like an idiot doing it.
No, don't defend it.
I'm not defending
he
it.
doesn't know anything about Hawthorn.
No, he does actually. His Hawthorn knowledge is actually quite good.
How come he couldn't sing the song? He didn't know the words when he was in there.
So there is vision of him.
Oh, Dylan.
No, Elbow's Hawthorn credentials are legit. It's not Paul Keating pretending to like Collingwood or Kevin Rudd pretending to like the Lions.
Didn't he say that he remembers his first game that he watched in the 89 grand final, watched Lee Matthews running around out there for Hawthorn?
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He grew up in Western Sydney, didn't he?
No.
He's South Sydney, man,
I've got reliable sources that Elbow is legit about Hawthorn.
That's because you've got your Labor hat on.
No, it's not my Labor. There's no Labor hat on.
Yes, red hat, Labor hat.
There's no Labor
he's
hat.
out there holding the signs during elections. You wait for the Queensland election, he'll be out there with Stephen.
Are you a member? Active member?
Yes.
Not anymore, no. I used to work there.
When he was in Victoria as part of the branch stack.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. How do you reckon Richmond got to 100,000 members? Anyway, branch stacking. Yeah, and there was a power broker, a faceless man. No, I'm telling you, like it's not Malcolm Turnbull. He's legit about Hawthorn.
He's not. But moving on.
It'd be stiff to get dragged into the club song, though.
Yeah.
Surely you
The
put your hand up
players
and say, no thanks.
Oh, yeah. The players dragged him in.
Yeah.
But the players, you can imagine the players do that. Let's get him in.
Well, I don't know what was worse, Elbow singing the Hawthorn song or Rob Lowe? Remember back in the day, Rob Lowe sang the Collingwood song?
Collingwood, yeah.
And Nathan Buckley looked pissed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the shot, if you look at the photo, Bucks is not happy that Eddie brings in Rob Lowe to sing the song.
There's not many things that...
You ever had anyone famous sing the song with you? Did Kevin Rudd...
No, I don't think we didn't win many games, so never sung the song. I got a picture with Harry Potter, the actor out of Harry Potter,
Daniel Radcliffe. Yep.
That's probably the most famous person that I've...
Anyone famous
had a
come
Lions
join
game.
in
In the song?
No.
No.
That's the one thing that you should be able to just have as your team.
Well, that's sort of become the thing because back in the day, everyone used to get in on the song, and now it's just the team. It tends to be
not now. There was mothers on the weekend. All the mothers were in there.
So you
a
say
lot
the
of
mothers
kids.
should stay away from the
I'm
song?
just saying that
Right.
it's one thing.
First, you want all these
probably-
teams out. Now you want the mothers out of the song. You are a shock jock.
Yes, I am.
It's good to have you here, Kane. Anyway, moving right along. But Elbow's legit about Hawthorn.
Just got to take that Labor hat off.
It's not a Labor hat. I would say the same if it was a Liberal politician or a Greens politician or the Nationals.
Come on.
Or the Jackie Lambie network, for heaven's sake. Anyway, moving right along. What are you looking forward to this weekend? Time to wrap up.
Well, there's only one real game that stands out, I reckon, as a game of the round. Friday night, Sydney Swans versus Carlton. I think that'll be the one everyone will be watching. All the others, they don't seem to have that draw factor.
You know what they don't do enough to market Sydney versus Carlton, to maybe reach out to the kids and get a new market? They could make it a real gangster derby, Sydney versus Carlton, because you've got Sydney, the Bloods, and you've got Carlton, the Crips. Bloods versus Crips. Surely that would make a promo.
You spent too much time by yourself.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about play.
Well, Bloods first. That's creative, Lynchy.
It'll be a great game.
So are you with the Bloods or the Crips?
It depends who wins. And I'll be going to the Dolphin after the game. So that's
very nice.
Although it's
shout out to the Dolphin.
It's a great pub for the Sydney Swan supporters. Mm-hmm. The manager's a Carlton man. So this could be
shout out. I'm in Sydney this week. I might stop by the Dolphin.
Send Paul Kent down there.
Moving right along. Oh, gee, you're on fire. What are you looking forward to? What are you looking forward to, Lynchy?
Sydney Carlton.
Bloods and Crips.
Yeah.
What about you, do?
Oh, I'm just looking forward to just enjoying football in general.
Tigers. You'll be going to the Tigers-Lions game.
Yeah, I am going to the Tigers-Lions game. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to catching up with Richmond people there.
Yeah, you'll be hosting their Queensland members.
Hosting the pre-game for the Queensland members this week
right.
at the Shafton Hotel.
Folding just coming your way.
Just a bit of love. Just a bit of love for Richmond.
We know.
So you just give them back. That's it.
Giving back to the club.
Right.
That's given so much to me.
And you're receiving.
I'm receiving
some per diems or something.
I'm just receiving kudos for helping them out.
And contra.
We don't do that.
Tracksuits,
jackets, an envelope.
Hats. Yeah, there'll be everything.
There's no envelope.
Membership.
But I'll catch up with your new boss, Mr. Gale, and Dale Waitman and Barmy. They'll all be there, and all the hardly any Tiger supporters coming up because all the hotels have been booked out because of Magic Round and hotel room. You know how much a hotel room in Brisbane's at the moment? It's about $500, $600 for a night because of Magic Round. So anyway, I looking forward to probably the Bloods and Crips.
I think that's
Bloods and Crips Friday night, gangster. Two-pack Thug Life represents. Speaking of the Thug Life, it's time to wrap up here on the Neds AFL Unpopular Opinions. You're multi,
yeah. Gangster. So we're actually kicking off Friday night. Yeah. Sydney to win by 1-39, into Collingwood on Saturday afternoon to win by 1-39 against the Adelaide Crows.
So it'd be funny if they all won by 40 plus, wouldn't it?
And then I've taken a couple of ex-Brownlow medalists to have Lockie Neal to have 30 plus against Richmond,
and 35 plus this
and
week.
Ollie Wines 25 plus against Hawthorn. So multi all that up together.
Sorry, who'd you have? Sorry, Ollie Wines.
Ollie Wines 25 plus. Yeah,
that's good.
For $14.01.
$14.01.
Very good value.
Outstanding. All right. Well, this has been Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions for another week. Thank you, Lynchy.
Thank you, Dill, Rocky.
Thank you,
Thank
Rocky.
you, Dill.
I've got no idea how long was meant to be left in this podcast because we've got the 5-minute warning, so the clock's just going up. If you like the show, leave a review, subscribe. Catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions. Enjoyed the podcasts? Remember to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.